Kini ang simbianan sa RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN Radio Philippines Network DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
Election returns. Besides Stamfrel, the PPCRV has also been accredited to do the quick count. Other poll watchdogs mushroom through the years, though not necessarily accredited by the COMELEC.
We focus more on fraud as well as the misuse and abuse of government resources vis-a-vis the election.
With the COVID-19 pandemic likely extending to the election period, poll watchdogs say the biggest challenge is getting Filipinos to show up in polling centers to vote. They are calling on the Commission on Elections to make sure voting areas will be safe from the virus and secure from fraud.
This is Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Tonight on the program, the race to Malacanang intensifies as the 90-day campaign period for national candidates begins. One presidential hopeful, however, is facing an election offense this early. After the COVID-19 vaccination rollout for children, the government setting a goal of inoculating 6 million more people in another round of a ramped-up drive this week. And the search for Miss Philippines Earth is on as the pageant hopes to hold an on-site coronation this year. Candidates for national posts hold proclamation rallies across the country as the campaign season officially begins for the May elections. Some presidential hopefuls are here in Metro Manila, others in their hometowns, making the rounds to woo voters. CNN Philippines is closely monitoring developments on the ground, with our correspondents trailing the following. Labor leader Leody de Guzman in Quezon City and Senator Ping Lacson in Cavite. Former Senator Bongbong Marcos, meanwhile, in Bulacan, while Mayor Isko Moreno in Manila. We're also following Senator Manny Pacquiao in General Santos City and Vice President Leni Robredo in Camarines Sur. Let's head first to Naga City in Camarines Sur. Our senior correspondent, Anjo Alimario, is there. Anjo, what is the first day of Robredo's campaign like?
Well, Pia, Vice President Leni Robredo begins the toughest battle of her public service career with her fellow Bicolanos who vowed to deliver a solid vote to make her the first Bicolana president. And today, she sought the support of her kababayans and to join her in her journey. Robredo and running mate Senator Kiko Pangilinan opened their campaign at the Angat Buhay village in Lupi. In this town, hundreds of victims of past calamities found a new home through the help of Robredo's office. Robredo finds deeper meaning in this project. It reflects how good governance can make a difference.
Dahil ito ang pinakahalimbawa na pag ang gobyerno tapat sa kanyang panunungkulan, pag ang gobyerno bumababa at pinapakiramdaman yung pangangailangan ng taong bayan, napapapunta sa tama ang pera na nasa kaba ng bayan.
Pangilinan is proud of their tandem. It has helped those in the sidelines without corruption.
Uunahin natin ang agrikultura at pangingisda. Dahil pag sinuportahan natin ang ating mga magsasaka at mangingisda, gaganda ang kanilang ani, gaganda ang kanilang huli. Pag gumanda ang ani at huli, dadami ang pagkain sa merkado. At pag marami na ang pagkain sa merkado, ang karne, ang gulay, ang bigas, mumura na, abot kaya na ang pagkain.
The tandem comes with its Senate slate, former Ifugao Representative Teddy Bagilat, human rights lawyer Chel Jokno, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Attorney Alex Lacson, Labor leader Sari Matula, former Senator Sani Trillanes, Senator Laila de Lima, who sent her representative, and guest candidate Senator Richard Gordon. Bicol region, especially Camarines Sur province, has turned pink. Supporters from all walks of life show their love for Robredo, Pangilinan, and their Senate team.
Dahil sa pang hindi korap at mahal naman niya ang Pilipinas. Isa po yung nagpapakita ng may malasakit sa mga tao at siya rin po yung nagbibigay ng inspirasyon sa aming mga kabataan para mas lalo namin ipakilala ang aming sarili, lalong-lalo yung mga kababaihan.
To observe health protocols, Robredo uses the Speak Up to campaign and address supporters. She's joined by her daughters, Aika, Trisha, and Jillian. She also visited Libmanan, Tigaon, and Iriga City before attending a mass at the Naga City Cathedral.
You know what, Pia, the first day of the campaign for the Lenny Kiko tandem was quite long. It's quite a packed day, but they said they are ready. They are made for this moment, for this journey, and Robredo will even try to break her own record and reach as many communities, as many people for her presidential run. And as you can see behind me, the proclamation rally is still ongoing. Senatoriables are beginning to deliver their individual messages. You have senatoriable Attorney Chel Jokno who spoke earlier, and now it's the turn of Senator Laila de Lima, who will be represented by Attorney Dino De Leon. And some celebrities have already performed, like the company, and some celebrities have also delivered their messages in person and some through video, like Jolina Magdangal and Isa Calzado. And we're still, of course, waiting for the much-awaited speech of presidential candidate Vice President Leni Robredo. Pia.
Well, Anjo, you've all been on your feet for more than 12 hours. So from there, Camarines Sur, what is her next stop? Does she plan to visit the so-called Solid North, go up to Ilocos?
Well, tomorrow, Pia, is going to be a long day again. The Lenny Kiko tandem will head to Camarines Norte, to Albay, then to Sorsogon. They will also travel to some provinces in southern Quezon in the coming days. And we also got information that they will be visiting provinces in northern Luzon, but there's no details yet. But again, they are prepared for this. They will try to reach as many communities as possible, Pia.
Anjo Alimario there in Naga City in Camarines Sur. Well, Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte now holding their proclamation rally at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. Organizers claim over 25,000 supporters will attend from different parts of the country. Our correspondent Rex Remigio in Santa Maria, the town of Santa Maria there in Bulacan, joining us live. Rex, how is their campaign kicking off so far?
Well, some political analysts are calling the proclamation rally of Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte as a show of force. Thousands of supporters are joining the event. Organizers are even claiming over 25,000 of their supporters are present now inside the venue. And aside from the tandem, they're also presenting their senatoriables officially. But Rodriguez, however, saying that the one who will complete the lineup may be known in the coming days. The Uniteam Alliance tandem is holding it in the world's largest indoor arena by far. It's owned by Iglesia ni Cristo, known for its ability to command its members to vote for its chosen candidate. Marcos' spokesperson, Attorney Vic Rodriguez, however, denies the INC is already endorsing BBM and Sara.
Ang ginamit lang namin ay yung the Philippine Arena. At walang sino mang makakaalam, siguro kahit sinong kandidato magsasabi na na-endorso na siya ng ganitong grupo o ng ganitong samahan. Wala. It's just the start of the campaign period.
Well, they haven't also invited President Duterte, Sara's father. Rodriguez only says they have no obligation to invite the president in a political activity. Also, getting inside the arena was not easy. One has to be fully vaccinated, undergo an antigen swab test in the area, and of course, a negative result. Some supporters from different areas in the country, meanwhile, have arrived at the venue as early as 9 a.m. Most of them are wearing red, some are donned in green, and are carrying banners. They have different hopes in which they believe the BBM Sara tandem can fulfill.
Maluluklok na si BBM, iyan ang isa namin, ilalapit sa kanya na matulungan kami magkaroon ng livelihood. Para magkaroon ng trabaho.
Sa pagbubukas ng ating ekonomiya, doon po kasi po papalapit na din po akong magtatrabaho.
Rodriguez also says that viral photos of tickets sold for 200 pesos is just a cheap propaganda against the tandem. Now the event started at 4 p.m. Hosted by actress Tony Gonzaga. At first, it really feels like a concert with all the vibe, lights, and sounds. The production effort is immense. Various singers and rappers supporting the Marcos Duterte tandem also perform on stage. And we're still waiting for Marcos and Duterte to deliver their respective speeches. Back to you.
Rex, what are their campaign plans now, strategy? Any shift in strategy for the coming days?
Well, they admit that the COVID-19 pandemic remains a challenge. They're planning to campaign only in areas under COVID-19 alert level 2, and they will focus more on face-to-face campaigns instead of virtual sorties. Pia.
Rex Remigio there reporting from the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. The Lacson-Soto tandem marked the start of their campaign in vote-rich Cavite. The two veteran politicians began the day with a mass, then met with supporters at the Imus grandstand. Let's bring in our George Cahiles, who's been following the candidates all day. George, how did Caviteños welcome Senators Lacson, one of their own, and Soto?
Well, Pia, the Lacson-Soto tandem is warmly received here in Cavite. In fact, aside from thousands of people that you're seeing now behind me here at the Imus grandstand, dozens of local officials coming from different municipalities and cities in the province are also present here to express their support to the duo. Now, as far as the campaign strategy is concerned now, Pia, according to Senator Lacson, one thing is for sure, that discipline and health protocols will be strictly enforced.
Supporters of presidential candidate Senator Ping Lacson and his running mate Senate President Tito Soto are seated orderly on physically distanced chairs inside the Imus grandstand in Cavite. The Lacson-Soto tandem wants their political rallies to reflect the message of their campaign: discipline and adherence to rules. Lacson says they will not sacrifice the health and welfare of their supporters just for the optics.
We will run a very disciplined campaign. Disciplined in the sense na dahil may health protocols, I think yun doon kami mag-stand out. No? Makikita yung diferensya compared sa ibang mga kandidato.
Yung disiplina, hindi mawawala sa amin yun. Yun din ang gusto namin kasama sa programa namin sa gobyerno yun eh. Gawing madisiplina uli ang gobyerno.
Both Lacson and Soto are 73 years old. Despite their age, they declare they're in good shape and will focus on grassroots consultations across the country during the 90-day campaign period.
Dadalaw kami doon sa, alam mo yon, mga pangkaraniwang common folks, makipagkwentuhan at malaman namin ano yung common, mga ordinary problems ng mga tao sa lansangan, tao sa mga karinderya, tao sa barberya. Yun ang isa naming kinukonsidera na puntahan na sa ganun, walang crowd.
As early as the day we decided to run, we were prepared mentally and physically.
The Lacson-Soto tandem considers Cavite as their bailiwick, with over 2 million registered voters. Earlier, however, Cavite Governor John Vic Remulla in a Facebook post said Lacson may not be able to get the majority votes in the second most vote-rich province in the Philippines. Lacson nevertheless says he's quite confident that his fellow Caviteños will rally behind him just like during the previous elections.
Well, of the initial 15 senatorial candidates in the Lacson Soto slate, 5 are joining them tonight on stage. They are former PNP Chief Guillermo Ilazar, Dr. Mingita Padilla, former Makati Representative Monsur del Rosario, former Agriculture Secretary Manny Peñol, and former Senator J.V. Ejercito, and the rest just sent representatives or video messages. Soto says most of the re-electionist senators managed to talk to them and explain why they cannot make it tonight. But Senator Lacson explained that those senatorial candidates will remain in their senatorial slate for as long as they will not openly endorse other presidential candidates and vice presidential candidates. Pia.
George Cahilas there, trailing the Lacson-Soto tandem in Imus, Cavite. Over 13,000 children aged 5 to 11 have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. Government officials describe the initial rollout of the pediatric vaccination here in Metro Manila as very successful. So far, there was only one reported case of an adverse reaction, with a child in Parañaque City experiencing mild rashes. No other details made available, but officials insist it was manageable. The country hopes to inoculate at least 70% of the more than 15 million Filipino children within the age group. Nationwide rollout will start on February 14. Officials also hopeful local governments can take their cue on how to host kids' vaccinations, similar to how they've been done in the past 2 days.
I suppose they have to be consistent. In other words, the innovation, the creativity, the very colorful come-ons, the goodies, the ice cream. Sana araw-araw, ganon.
We have to vaccinate this younger generation because it will preserve the Filipino generation in our future. Kasi kung hindi natin sila alagaan, mahirap nakita natin they will be vulnerable.
Education Secretary Leonor Briones says vaccinating elementary school children will pave the way for their physical return to schools and the holding of safer face-to-face classes. Tourism Secretary Berna Romulo Puyat, meanwhile, says families can now look forward to more fun trips and vacations since vaccinated kids can now tag along. The DOH says about 500,000 children have signed up for vaccination. Well, after the expansion of vaccination efforts for kids as young as 5, the government wants to immunize 6 million people in the third round of the mass vaccination program. Now, that is set for this Thursday and Friday, February 10 and 11. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says the government aims to administer primary doses to 4 million people and booster shots to 2 million others. The rollout will cover all persons aged 12 and above. Over 59 million Filipinos have been vaccinated against COVID-19. Still ahead, it is day one for the campaign of presidential candidate Leody de Guzman, who proceeded with his proclamation rally even without a permit. And the search for the next Miss Earth Philippines begins as the pageant or as applications open for the 2022 edition. More when we return.
MX3 dahil ito ay napatunayang may alpha, beta at gamma mangosteen. MX3 capsule helps avoid pain discomfort para iwas sakit. Tested and proven na low sodium, cholesterol-free at fat-free. Dito ako sa tunay, natural at original. MX3.
Mahalagang paalala, ang MX3 capsule ay hindi gamot at hindi dapat gamiting panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Sure ka ba talaga dito?
Ano ka ba? Mabait si Papa. Pa! Si Miggy po.
Paano po, Mr. Fardo?
Please, call me sir.
Aba, laki ng supermarket dito ah. Bili tayo ng drinks.
Ako na po ang drinks.
Sige na. Gutom na ako.
Kuha na mo nga kami, Mike.
So, paano? Mabiyahe pa tayo.
Sir, atid ko na po kayo.
Central Hub yan. Develop na tong part ng Tarlac ah.
Sir, sagot ko na po ito.
Tingin mo sa akin. Cheap?
Sir, hindi po.
Joke lang.
Sir, pwede na po ako.
Thanks. Next time ulit. Miggy.
Max Fun! Woo!
You're watching Newsnight. I'm Pia Ontiveros. Presidential candidate Manila Mayor Isko Moreno and his running mate Willie Ong kicking off their campaign as early as 7 this morning. Our Paolo Barcelon gives us an update live from Manila. Paolo, is the proclamation rally still going on, and what is the situation there?
Pia, good evening. The proclamation rally of Acción Democrático has just started a few minutes ago. That's because the motorcade of the Moreno Ong ticket ended late. It ended past 5 o'clock this afternoon. We just heard Acción Democrático chairperson Ernest Ramel, who said that tonight is a welcome and a historic night for the party. If you recall, Pia, the last time Acción Democrático fielded a presidential and vice presidential bet was in 2004 when the tandem of the late former Senator Raul Roco and former Tarlac Congressman Hermie Aquino ran for the presidency and vice presidency. Now, Moreno Ong and their Senate bet Samira Gutok, who's speaking right now, as well as Jopet Sison and Carl Balita, they had a very long day today. They attended Mass early in the morning in Tondo, and they went on a motorcade joined by a throng of enthusiastic supporters, making the implementation of physical distancing a challenge.
Wala, hindi mo mapigilan ng tao, pero I'm very grateful and alam mo yon, yung heartwarming, yung parang hindi ko maipaliwanag eh. Basta masayang-masaya ako sa mainit na paghatid nila sa atin.
Moreno's campaign strategist Leito Banayo says he hopes the poll body would see the current situation and make adjustments to allow candidates more breathing room to interact with supporters. During his listening tours, Moreno had been closely interacting with supporters, but today he's on a flatbed truck surrounded by staff tossing giveaways and without the usual shaking of hands and selfies due to COMELEC regulations.
We can't debate with the COMELEC over those rules, no? But hopefully they will see that it will be very difficult also to police or to ascertain strict conformity with these rules. No?
Meanwhile, Pia, back here at the Cartilla ng Katipunan, Moreno is expected to deliver a speech in the next few minutes or so. Endorsements are also expected to be made by several key politicians, including Senate President Pro Tempore Ralph Recto, House Deputy Speaker PJ Garcia, and Taguig City Mayor Lino Cayetano, which Mr. Banayo says will have an active role in the Moreno-Ong Tandem's campaign. Pia.
Paolo Barcelon there reporting from Manila. We now head over to General Santos City in South Cotabato, where presidential candidate Senator Manny Pacquiao is starting his campaign. Cian Arcangel joins us for the latest. Cian, go ahead.
Residents of General Santos City throw their all-out support for Senator Manny Pacquiao's presidential bid, like they did in his boxing match. Around 25,000 supporters gathered at the stadium here to cheer the city's beloved son, who literally fought his way from poverty to become a billionaire politician. Supporters we've talked to say that the same thing. Pacquiao deserves to become the next president because of his compassion for the poor. Many of Pacquiao's supporters have been here since noon, braving the heat to see him.
Kasi marami siyang plano eh. Marami siyang magandang plano sa Pilipinas. Yun lang ang siguro ang makatulong sa mga mahirap.
Yes po.
Bakit?
Kasi aside sa syempre from Johnson siya, yung puso niya para sa masa, nandyan po.
Kasi nakikita naman namin kung ano yung mga sinasabi ni Senator o ni President Manny Pacquiao na para talaga sa mahihirap. Hindi kami naniniwala sa mga kasinungalingan dyan, sa mga sabi-sabi.
Yes, 100% ang Jensen kay Manny Pacquiao suporta.
Pacquiao country din.
Country. Dapat sa iboto para sa mahirap, para sa masa, Manny Pacquiao, lahat tayo.
Papakilala ko lang
Former
siya.
broadcaster Manny Rafi Tulfo, who's among the top-ranked senatorial vets, is expected to personally attend Pacquiao's proclamation rally. Also present is former Eastern Samar Governor Luzgardo Barbo. Senator Sherwin Gatchalian is actress Bianca Manalo. Pacquiao's running mate, Buhay Party List Representative Lito Atienza, will be giving a video message. Atienza needed to stay in Manila since he recently lost his balance. Other senatorial candidates will be giving video messages since Pacquiao shares them with other presidential vets.
I think we lost that signal to Cian Arcangel, who was reporting live from General Santos City on the Manny Pacquiao campaign. Now, presidential candidate Leody de Guzman pushing through with his proclamation rally. The Commission on Elections had said his event could be an election offense since a permit is required. Chrissy Di Matulak joins us live at the Bantayog ng mga bayani in Quezon City for the latest. Chrissy?
Yes, Pia, despite having no permit, it's still all systems go for the campaign of Leody de Guzman. COMELEC earlier announced that the camp of Cal Leody failed to apply for a campaign permit. Still, the Labor leader continued or carried on with his motorcade starting from his home at Cainta, Rizal all the way to the ABS-CBN compound in Quezon City. He then proceeded to his proclamation rally at the Bantayog ng mga bayani in Diliman, Quezon City, where 1,500 people were expected to attend. De Guzman says the current situation will not stop his campaign plans for today.
Nasa ganung sitwasyon kami ngayon na obligadong ituloy dahil malaki na yung paghandang nagawa.
Manggagawa naman sa 2022!
Pia de Guzman adds he does not want all resources and efforts meant for today to go to waste. Cal Leody ran for senator but lost in the 2019 elections. He now has set his sights on the presidency, which he says will give him a bigger platform for his advocacies, including ending contractualization and providing more opportunities for farmers and fisherfolk. Pia?
Chrissy, since Cal Leody proceeded with his campaign, did he talk about the possibility of facing sanctions for that?
Yes, Pia. According to Cal Leody, his team or his camp has already allotted great effort for the campaign. According to the team, given the preparations, he says they have no other choice but to proceed. Under COMELEC rules, an election offense could result to fines, jail time, or even disqualification. According to Cal Leody, he hopes that the sanction will not result to his disqualification. Back to you, Pia.
See Di Matulak there reporting from Quezon City. Now here's a look at the proclamation rallies of other presidential contenders. Democratic Party of the Philippines standard-bearer Dr. June Montemayor is currently holding his event in Pasay City. Former Duterte spokesman Ernesto Ernie Abella will stage his caravan and proclamation rally in Cavite tomorrow. Former Defense Secretary Norberto Gonzales will hold his proclamation rally next Tuesday, February 15th. And the team of businessman Faisal Mangundato says the presidential candidate has yet to schedule an event. Mangundato, Pacquiao, and Gonzales have confirmed they are taking part in COMELEC's campaign e-rally this 7 p.m. Some vice presidential and senatorial candidates are also expected to participate, as well as party lists and political parties in the 2022 race. Well, still on Newsnight, just 5 more days until alpine skier Asa Miller hits the slopes at the Beijing Winter Olympics. Take a closer look at his preparations. And the search for the country's Miss Next Earth Queen is on. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Sure ka ba talaga dito?
Ano ka ba? Mabait si Papa. Pa! Sige po.
Paano po, Mr. Fardo?
Please, call me sir.
Aba, laki ng supermarket dito ah. Bili tayo ng drinks.
Ako na po ang drinks.
Sige na. Gutom na ako. Kuha na mga kami, Mike. So, paano? Babiyahe pa tayo.
Sir, hatid ko na po kayo.
Central Hub yan. Develop na tong part ng Tarlac ah.
Sir, sagot ko na po ito.
Tingin mo sa akin. Cheap?
Sir, hindi po.
Joke lang.
Sir, pwede na po ako.
Thanks. Next time ulit. Miggy.
Max Fun! Woo!
Unilever understands that building relationships is at the core of brand interactions. Launched in late 2020, Ucoin is the company's unified digital rewards program for their consumers and customers across several channels.
Ucoin is a strategic digital program in Unilever Philippines. Aside from making our branded experiences more rewarding for consumers and customers, Ucoin also allows us to unlock a single view of data, all in an interconnected digital ecosystem that is slowly becoming cookieless.
With Ucoin, the company continuously reward people through a single digital currency for engaging with Unilever. It also democratizes how they choose their rewards. And with 1 million members and growing, Unilever is on the right track of driving business value through data.
Our ambition is to be the global leader in sustainable business, showing that our purpose-led, future-fit business model delivers superior performance built on meaningful partnership in our consumers.
Welcome back. Only 5 days left until we see the country's only representative show off his skills at the Winter Olympics in Beijing. Alpine skier Asa Miller, not Asa as I said earlier, is competing in 2 events for his second Winter Games stint, the men's giant slalom on Sunday, February 13, and the men's slalom next Wednesday, February 16. The 21-year-old told CNN Philippines it's been great practicing alongside some of his opponents. Now back here at home, the search for Miss Philippines Earth officially begins. The pageant now accepting applications with the online screening set for March 1. It's also eyeing an on-site coronation this 2022 after 2 years of virtual events. The competition looks to promote the protection of animal life with the theme Me Loves Fauna for its 22nd edition. And that is it for tonight. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. and for a Politics as Usual special at 8 tonight, not 8:30, 8 o'clock. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond headlines.
Kini ang simbianan sa RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS. DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda. 5,000 watts nagsimbiya sa ikatulong andana sa UFCO Lim Building, Borromeo Street, Dakbayan sa Surigao. RPN, Radio Philippines Network, DXKS 1080 ang inyong Radio Ronda.
A former defense chief has changed track and is now pursuing a Senate seat, but the road to the Senate is daunting because of personalities, returning senators, and those seeking re-election joining the race. Also, we get to know what happened to talks for a supposed Sara Gibo tandem. And is this no longer an option? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have senatorial aspirant Gibo Teodoro. Secretary Teodoro, welcome to the source. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning. Good morning, Pinky, and to all the televiewers.
You had a proxy file your COC on your behalf as senator under the People's Reform Party because you contracted
Yes.
COVID. How are you now?
It was my last day of isolation. When was this? Friday, and my latest RT-PCR test came out negative, so I'm fine.
How were the symptoms?
Mild symptoms, just an itchy throat and a runny nose. But I felt that it was enough to warrant an RT-PCR and came out positive. And I did the proper isolations in consultation with my pulmonologist too and doctor.
Were you surprised considering you got a vaccination was in Davao last June, right?
Yes, I was surprised actually, but having heard stories of my other friends and classmates who've had the breakthrough infections, never mind them being fully vaccinated, I was not surprised, and I was very thankful that it could have been worse had I not been vaccinated.
So because of the vaccine, certainly you believe that the vaccine obviously worked and just basically really gave you mild symptoms.
Yes, I fully believe so.
Okay. So you're running, as I mentioned a while ago, as senator under the People's Reform Party. Can you tell us what happened?
Yes. Well, since Mayor Duterte did not file her certificate of candidacy, and there was really, she really did not make any commitment to do so. Upon consultation with close advisors, friends, most especially the public through the Gibo.ph website and Facebook page, running for senator was their advice, and heeding their advice, that's what happened.
When did you last speak to Mayor Sara Duterte, and was there ever a time that she personally told you that she would just run as mayor?
No, there was no time that she personally told me that, and all the time that we talked, we were trying to shy away from the issue of elections. We talked about COVID recovery, economic opening, the complexities of running a major commercial area like Davao, and there was no talk about any elective position whatsoever, you know.
So you just found out that she wasn't running as president, or that she would just run as mayor through the media and through the announcements made by the mayor on social media?
Yeah, the several announcements, I believe, from the start, and from the first announcement when she said she wasn't interested, and the most telling statement is that she wanted to remain free and independent, a feeling which actually resonates with me too. In terms of being free from political shackles or whatnot. I really believed in the statement.
We understand, of course, that November 15 is still the end of the substitution process. Do you think, or are you hoping that Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio will change her mind?
That's really a decision for her to make. Obviously, a lot of people are hoping. However, I have filed my COC for senator, and for me, I'm going to concentrate on that. Throughout my political career, I've been upholding a party, somebody else's agenda. This time, that's why I joined the political race, was to pursue a transformative agenda, which will take some time. And that's the reason why I went back to politics post-pandemic. There's an agenda that we must transform the country. The past cannot be the future anymore, particularly with a fast-shaping world with disruptions and innovations happenings around the world. And that's why I decided to join again.
But you said, of course, this is obviously, as we all know, the choice of Mayor Sara. But are you personally hoping that she would change her mind?
Right now, I'm. If she would change her mind, there would have to be a very, very good and big reason for it, and that's within her and for her to decide. So my mindset now basically is on the senatorial campaign, which I have to concentrate on. I know that I'm running on the same race with very, very known and popular individuals, returnees. And so I have to think of my own situation first.
Your own campaign?
Yes.
Yeah. So does that mean certainly, absolutely, that you will no longer pursue the vice presidential race, that you will for sure run as senator?
It would be very unlikely for me to shift at this time. It would have to take a major reason, positive reason, which would be beneficial for the agenda I'm pursuing to do so. But right now, there's no reason for me to shift.
What would make you shift?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. It has to be really heavy and important and doable. You know.
Let's say, hypothetically, sir, Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio runs and she asks you to be her vice president. Is that a heavy enough consideration for you to accept?
I'll have to think about it. I'll really, really have to think about it. I'll have to see where I stand. I'll have to think about how my agenda will be accepted. And those are just some of the criteria I'll have to think about. Plus,
so
of course, the winnability factor is also very important.
Right. So there's still a possibility. There's still a small opening there. That's how I'm understanding your statements.
There are no yeses, firm yeses or nos. But right now, it's highly unlikely. Let's put it that way.
Okay. We need to take a very short break. The Source will be right back.
Protektahi ang imong mga mata batok sa delikado ug makadaot nga ultraviolet nga silaw sa adlaw ug uban pa. Pinaagi sa pagsulob og eksakto nga prescription sa antiyohos o antipara. Likay ang mga simptomas sama sa hanap nga pananaw sa layo o duol nga basahon, sakit sa ulo ug uban pa nga makaapekto sa atong kahimsog nga ang hinungdan depekto sa atong mga mata. Alang sa kumpleto nga primary eye care, contact lenses, fashion eyewear, computer eyeglasses, sunglasses, accessories ug uban pa, adto kita sa AG Buñuel Optical Clinic. Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic nagpahinumdum kanato nga ang kahimsog sa atong mga mata usa ka prioridad nga angay ipa-check up kausa matag tuig aron pagsiguro nga luwas kita sa piligrong mga sakit. Pinaagi sa lisensyado og qualified optometrists nga maoy mo prescribe sa eksaktong kagamitan ug kung primary eye care ang paghisgutan. Duaw lang silang buhatan sa 3636 sa Nicolas Street, Surigao City ug adunay ilang extension office sa Aurelianida Street, Cantilan, Surigao del Sur. Ayaw kalimti higala, AG Buñuel Optical Clinic.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic doon na branch dito sa lungsod sa Dapa sa may Lupis Haina Street, Poblasyon Dapa, Surigao del Norte.
Ang AG Buñuel Optical Clinic dinhi sa syudad ng Surigao. No transfer na sa bag-ong location sa Nicolas Street, Ragyahapon, tapad sa Garcia Hotel at bang sa Unicity. Ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated na sa ilang bagong location sa Dalan, Burgos ning atong syudad. Mahimo niyong tawagan sa telephone number 231-7478 or 826-3663. Mga produkto nga inyong mapalit, genuine, Makita Power Tools sama sa planer, drill, grinder, Triton paints, construction supplies, angle bars, flat bars, GI pipes, automotive spare parts, Firefly electrical devices sama sa switches, bulbs ug outlets. Adto ang Riverside Parts Master Incorporated sa ilang bagong pwesto sa Dalan, Burgos ning syudad. Makahangyo inyo ka o makabarato pagyod diha sa Riverside Parts Master Incorporated.
RPN Radio Philippines Network, Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao, member kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, senatorial aspirant and former Defense Secretary Gibo Teodoro. Sir, so I understand, of course, your track of mind right now is obviously to pursue your senatorial bid. But I just want to ask, who are you inclined to support as president and vice president, given those who have filed their COC so far?
I think it's the reverse. Whoever will support the agenda of Bagong Pilipinas para sa bagong henerasyon and cooperate with it. I think I joined the People's Reform Party so that I'm independent to pursue that agenda. And right now, I'm just concentrated on pursuing that agenda, building my base. And the question of who to support as president or not does not come into play because the party has not decided to support anyone yet.
And running as a senator, so far, who else is in your team?
I think the PRP, I'm the lone candidate for it.
So far, no?
Yes.
Yeah, because there's talk on presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. He said that his decision to run is something that he needs to still ask Mayor Sara Duterte and President Duterte as well. So far, it's you right now, part of the team.
Yeah.
It's something that you mentioned. You mentioned a while ago, no, sir, that there's a lot of personalities. Even I said that a while ago. Even re-electionists, returning senators, popular personalities vying for the Senate seat. How difficult do you think this election will be for you?
It's admittedly going to be difficult, given that I've been away from the political scene for quite some time. And you're going against popular names. And I know that really the personality counts for a lot in local politics. But hopefully this can be overcome by the networks and relationships I've developed throughout the years, particularly with local leaders and other politicians, and social media now has a very, very great impact, and hopefully that will level the playing field, so to speak, insofar as I'm concerned.
You were talking about social media. I think it was back in February that you had changed your Facebook photo to a check. You added, I think, a check and changed it to green. And
Yes.
it somehow sparked the return, a political comeback for Gibo Teodoro. What happened back in February?
Well, I think that's when the final decision within the family, my wife and our son talked about it. We agreed that it would be a go, that I tried to make it back to public service, given that perhaps this is the best time that somebody who's had both government and private sector experience could be helpful to the country. And that's when the check mark was put in.
But what pushed you? What made you say that 2022, I'm going to make a political comeback?
No, actually, it was a long process, and it was a process of the pandemic too. that for in any time that perhaps the country would need my services, or the country would have the option, should they wish, to avail of my services and expertise. And my family also talked to me about it, that it's the right thing to do at the right time, where there's no one person who probably has the monopoly of solutions, the monopoly of wherewithal, the monopoly of skills needed to run the country, but everybody should pitch in. And my family told me that, I mean, it's your duty to the country that you do so. And that decision was come up and came from there. But there were a lot of people also who were asking that since before, even before the pandemic, bumalik ka na, why don't you give it another go? But there was no compelling reason at that time. But after the pandemic, I think this is as compelling a reason as possible, as you can have, rather.
Right. Because it was you were gone for, well, in the public eye, I'd say for about 11 years, maybe 10 to 11 years since the 2010 elections, Niuba. So I didn't see or hear much of you in the past years. And then it was a surprise, in fact, for a lot of people when you made your way to Davao City. And I remember even Secretary Andaya, Congressman Andaya, saying, this as Mayor Sara Gibo is a done deal. What was so done about that back then? That's
perhaps what he felt. He explained that's the vibe he felt, and he was really, really excited about the possibility. So he gave that statement, and he gave that statement in full faith and belief that it would have been a good thing for the country. However, such was not to be. And so yeah.
Yeah, he believed that. Did you believe that as well?
For me, I've always been, especially with my experience in 2010 and my experience in the private sector, I've always been a bit one step backward from being over exuberant about things. And
okay, so you're more pragmatic.
Actually, not even pragmatic. Yes, pragmatic in a sense, and conservatively so.
Okay. I wanted to ask you, when your family was discussing this, and even friends, that maybe it's time to make a political comeback, what was foremost in your mind? When you say political comeback, did you think, well, I want to run as vice president, I want to run as president, or I want to run as senator? Was there an option A for you? What was option A?
My experience in the private sector is that the majority of the experience in institutional private sector was as an independent director. Basically, as one who views you're part of the institution, but you're there to have a second look at things and view things on a macro perspective. And that's perhaps how a vice president can be really, really beneficial to an administration or to a president. And you can also give in positive inputs on an independent basis as you see things, and you can backstop. And so the vice presidential role would have really been perfect. Plus, I could go around the country advocating for and asking questions about what the young feel the future should look like for them, it would have been perfect. And but such is not to be as of this day. And so I'll still continue the movement. That is a commitment, and try to work within the legislature to shape, to introduce more efficiencies into the government, and try to make things easier for the private sector and for any citizen to deal with the government.
So really, option A was to run as vice president, but because that didn't pan out, option B would have been to run for the Senate. I wanted to ask you before we go on a break, Sir Secretary, what happened? Why did you reject or did not accept President Duterte's offer? Weren't you offered twice to become once again the Secretary of National Defense?
Well, at that time, I just had taken on two new assignments in the private sector. Secondly, I was busy with my family and with my mother too. I was in government for how many years, and we didn't want at that time to have a disruption once again in our own family. Given my mother's alone, and basically there was no need, a compelling need to do so. Like Secretary Lorenzana is doing a good job right now. I can't say I would have done better than him. However, this situation, to me, I feel that each and every Filipino should offer his or herself the best way he or she can do, because it's a different world right now.
Well, sorry, just a follow-up on this before I forget. Have there been feelers from other parties to adopt you to be part of their senatorial slate?
There have been, and I'd rather they announce it rather than me. There have been.
Okay. So there's a big possibility that you'll be adopted by other parties.
Well, hopefully. Hopefully.
Okay. All right. So we want to talk about, if you win, what will be your priorities? But we need to take a very short break. The Source will be right back.
Maayong balita sa tanan sa atong panginahanglan sa panimalay, mga gamit, ingon man mga dekorasyon, pwede na natong mapalit diha sa Wellington Bazaar. Anausab sa Wellington Bazaar ang mga bestidahon, karsunison, plain t-shirt, plastic chair, floor mat, mantel, banig, folding bed, habol, mosketero, trapal, lideret, basketball, stuffed toys ug mga dulaan sa bata. Ang Wellington Bazaar ana magalagad kanato sa Dalan Kaimo ning Dakbayan sa Surigao. Wellington Bazaar, gikan sa mga kawani og tigdumala sa Wellington Bazaar. Mayong adlaw alang kaninyo. Wellington Bazaar, sukiyon ta sa kanunay.
Ay, kasakit yun sa ako ang mga mata. Uy, labad pagyud kay ako ang ulo. Murag kog malipong ba? Unya, murag limtanon pagyud ko. Unsaon man ni, uy.
Naanag yun ay kay problema, miss. Ha? Tanawa ko, nagsakay ka na sa tricycle. Wala kay suot, bra. Para masolba na imo problema. Ha? Pag inuman ni, Lutein Plus.
Unsa? Lutein Plus? Asa man na nimo gikan?
Ako man ninadunggan sa radyo, miss. Maong ang kapalit ko naan. Pagpagandam ba?
Sige, salamat kayo ha. Magpalit dayon ko og Lutein Plus.
RPN Regional AM radio stations nationwide welcomes CNN Philippines, a first on radio. To bring you the latest news you can use, news you can trust. Listen to Newsnight, weekdays 6 p.m.
We now go above and beyond the headlines.
Followed by Med Talk, Health Talk.
We'll talk about how to keep ourselves healthy during the pandemic.
Politics as usual.
Our guests for tonight, two political science professors.
Up close and more. Catch CNN Philippines Hour in all RPN AM radio stations. Weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. Radyo Ronda DXKS Surigao. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb, up close and personal now with senatorial aspirant Gibo Teodoro. Okay, sir, just want to quickly get first your thoughts on the hearing at the Senate. They are about to release a partial report on the the budget that has been used for the government's COVID-19 response. Have you been following it? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've been following it, and where there's smoke, there's fire, and it should be pursued by professional investigators in impartial way, and whoever has done something wrong should suffer for it, basically. But this should not also serve to stall the need to acquire vaccines as quickly as possible, because vaccinations are necessary and crucial in order for our economy to open. Secondly, it also opens eyes in what we need to do and the trust that the public needs to put in government for that. What other countries did and could not happen here was they invested in an emerging technology at source without even the surety that a workable vaccine would do. No, so they were at the head of the line in acquiring vaccines. We have to be able to get the trust of the public in order to do that, and we have to have the flexibility to do that. If not, we'll be at the end of the line always. And that goes to our interconnectivity. For example, our digital infrastructure and our digital architecture, which is really important. Off-the-shelf solutions will not do for us. And we have to invest at source. We have to have the capability to do that, both for commercial purposes and for national security purposes.
What are, I guess, in summary, when we talk about the government's response, would you say you're satisfied, above average, below average? How has government done so far?
You know what, with the kind of law that we have, and with the logistical nightmares that even private individuals face in this country, it wouldn't be surprising that the response would be that way. We need now, we realize rather, we have awakened to the need that the Philippines really needs an advancement in logistics, in infrastructure, in storage facilities, in building up the capabilities of our local governments. Not all local governments, but at least certain hubs that can serve weaker or less advanced local government units, less developed rather, local government units to serve as hubs. And that would ease our problem a lot. And we need a lot of investments in that. And that's one of the things that I would be pushing for more infrastructure, for interconnectivity, both digital and physical infrastructure.
Okay, we have the yes or no question. This is the part wherein you just answer yes or no without any explanation. I only have 1 minute left. I hope you don't mind, sir. So the first is, are you in favor of easier public access to the SALN of the President, Vice President, and members of Congress? Yes or no?
I've always done it. So the access has been always easy for me. So yes.
Do you support lifting foreign ownership limits in the Constitution?
Yes, I do. Actually, yes, I do.
Are you in favor of the reimposition of death penalty for drug-related crimes?
No, not for the reason that just no, not because I oppose it, but because the judicial system probably might lack resources to guarantee a fair trial.
Should a sitting president be allowed to run for vice president in the next election? Well,
To me, ultimately, let's leave it to the people to decide. So,
Is that a yes or a
whatever
no?
legal, yeah, the people will decide anyway.
Okay. Are you in favor of resuming peace talks with communist rebels?
No, actually, no. That's already been done.
And lastly, should the country be more aggressive in protecting its maritime interests in the West Philippine Sea?
It should be more aggressive, yes, but how aggressive it is varies, no? Because internationally, in international bodies, we can only do so much. Unfortunately, as the president said, the UN itself is one of the most undemocratic organizations because of the veto power of the permanent members of the Security Council.
All right. Sir, we've run out of time, but I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak to you. And of course, good luck to you.
Good. Thank you so much. And thank you for the opportunity. Good morning.